This week, Siskel and Ebert review Shirley MacLaine and Ricky Lake caught in the case of mistaken identity in Mrs. Winterbourne. Superfans Dan Aykroyd and Daniel Stern kidnap rival star Damon Wayans in Celtic Pride. And Tom Berenger takes on a classroom of troublemakers in The Substitute.
I'm on fire.
Damon Wayans, Dan Aykroyd, and Daniel Stern star in Celtic Pride, a comedy about Boston basketball fans, and it's one of 6 new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert. Also coming up, the long-awaited Mystery Science Theater movie and new film starring Ricky Lake, Tom Berenger, and Oscar winner Mira Sorvino. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. Our first film is Celtic Pride, and it's a different kind of basketball comedy with all the funny stuff going on off the court and not focusing on the players, but on the fans. A couple of rabid Boston Celtic fans, played by Dan Aykroyd and Daniel Stern. How rabid? Well, here's an exchange between Daniel Stern's character and his long-suffering wife, who has just served him with divorce papers.
You are sick.
Oh, yeah, I know I'm sick. I am sick and tired of you and your therapist taking something pure and twisting it around. I love the Celtics!
In the story of Celtic Pride, the Boston team is playing Utah for the championship. Stern and Aykroyd decide to get the star Utah player, played by Damon Wayans, drunk in a Boston bar before the final game by pretending to be Utah Jazz fans.
Oh, God! Jimmy!
Louis Scott's in the bed. How did he get there? I don't know. I must have been so wasted I blacked out. What happened last night?
We must have done this when he passed up. Kidnapped him.
Celtic Pride is light as a feather, and the comedy only works because Stern and Aykroyd are absolutely serious about their devotion to the teams.
On a team, everybody's got a job to do, right? So this is our job. Our job is to cover Louis Scott. And if we can hold on to him, then maybe, just maybe, we can win that championship.
And the rest of the movie is how that kidnapping plot plays itself out in the 7th game. Dan Aykroyd and Daniel Stern throw themselves enthusiastically into their roles, but if you think about it, Celtic Pride is essentially a one-joke movie, namely that they are simply rabid fans. So, a mixed review for me. There's not enough complication in the plot. Thumbs down.
Yeah, I'm about where you are, Gene. A little more than thumbs down, actually. The one thing I did like was Damon Wayans playing head games with them after they kidnap him. And he's talking to them, trying to denigrate their status as fans and making fun of them. He says, do you think Larry Bird has a picture of you in his den? You know, right. Aykroyd is a plumber. He says he has a picture of you with your hand down a toilet. I don't think so.
That was a funny line.
And I liked what Wayans was doing in an attempt to talk himself out of that situation, but I agree.
It's just, that's it. They're nutty fans.
You got it. Okay, next movie. And our next movie is Mystery Science Theater 3000, a feature-length comedy inspired by the long-running cable show on the Comedy Channel. The premise behind the program is that an evil scientist hopes to rule the world by rotting our brains with bad movies. To perfect his techniques, he conducts experiments on the satellite of love, where a victim named Mike Nelson is forced to view some of the worst movies ever made. To preserve his sanity, Mike and his mechanical friends Tom Servo and Crow T. Robot make wisecracks as they watch the old films. This time, their target is a 1954 science fiction classic named This Island, Earth.
Haha, eat my photons, small heads.
Why are they all sitting in front?
We're sitting ducks in this thing. If we're going to make the airport, we'll have to do it on foot. When I stop, we'll pile out and take cover fast.
Sounds like a really crappy plan, but okay.
Michael J. Nelson plays Mike, and Kevin Murphy and Trace Beaulieu play the voices of Tom Servo and Crow T. Robot. The villainous scientist named Dr. Clayton Forrester is also played by Beaulieu, who in this scene believes he's not getting enough respect.
because you're all wonderful.
Okay, Dr. Forrester, jeez.
What a dickweed.
The favorite targets for MST3K, as it's called, are the cheesy sets and special effects in their target movies.
Now, this is what went on in Salvador Dali's head.
And now I swear we parked on level C right next to... Oh.
One of the reasons MST3K has been so popular, I think, is that the human and robotic filmgoers get away with doing just exactly what we like to do during a lot of bad movies, get our revenge by talking back to the screen.
Stand back.
Acting.
I like the idea of MST3K, and I've enjoyed some of the shows, but for me the novelty wears off after a while. I wouldn't be able to watch it every week. The original movie, This Island Earth, was 87 minutes long, but the whole Mystery Science Theater 3000 movie is only 74 minutes long, perhaps reflecting the insight of the filmmakers that you can get too much of a good thing. In this case, I think they give us just about enough of a good thing.
So you...
Thumbs up.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I couldn't tell.
yeah.
Well, I liked it too. I guess I liked it more than you did. I think that it's pretty funny. And yes, maybe after an hour I would have been satisfied, but in that first hour, I was laughing pretty hard. I mean, for example, just the Universal logo. This picture, it was back then called Universal International Pictures. So we see it flash up there, Universal International, and they say, well, doesn't the fact that it's Universal make it international? I mean, you know, they're thinking fast. Now you can say, oh, I would get that, or I might have thought of that, but people don't think of that.
Of course.
They're very clever.
Well, I hope I didn't sound down on it. What I was saying, I like the movie. I just couldn't watch this every week. It gets a little tired after a while.
You only have to watch it once. Coming up next, a case of mistaken identity as working class Ricky Lake enters the family of the wealthy Shirley MacLaine in the new romantic comedy, Mrs. Winterbourne.
Hey, Father, you want some? You with the hands again.
That's my job, ma'am.
I sounded kind of hysterical before, so you didn't really want to listen to me. So I'm going to be real calm when I tell you there has been one major screw-up here.
That's Ricky Lake, mistaken for a wealthy man's wife in the new comedy Mrs. Winterbourne, which is pleasant but not very substantial. The story is a little bit complicated to set up, so bear with me. Ricky Lake is penniless and pregnant as the film opens. She's caught in a train wreck with a wealthy young couple who both die, and Ricky Lake is mistaken for the dead man's pregnant wife because the family never met the real wife and didn't even know what she looked like. And then she's taken by the dead man's family after the train wreck, and her fortunes change radically because the dead man was loaded. Shirley MacLaine plays the wealthy matriarch of the family. She now views Ricky Lake as her daughter-in-law, and Ricky Lake plays a fish out of water in ritzy surroundings.
That's nice of you, but come on, I don't belong here. I mean, look at me.
I am looking at you. You're fine.
This is fine?
Oh, yes, one more twist, if you're still following this. The dead man has an arrogant twin brother, played by Brendan Fraser. And he suspects that Ricky Lake is an imposter.
You have to forgive Bill. He hasn't yet mastered rudimentary conversational skills.
So, where in Hong Kong did you meet my brother?
The mall.
The mall?
Of course, the mean brother eventually comes around to liking the ugly duckling. Are you surprised? I know that a picture like Mrs. Winterbourne is supposed to be old-fashioned. It's based on a novel by Cornell Woolrich. It was first filmed in the 1950s as a melodrama, No Man of Her Own, starring Barbara Stanwyck. But this remake feels especially contrived, and I guess that every step of the way I felt that the performers, the actors, were smarter than the words they were speaking. Attractive actors in a creaky plot, and that for me killed the fantasy. So thumbs down on Mrs. Winterbourne.
Yeah, thumb down for me too, and for exactly the same reason. I like the performances in this movie. I like Brendan Fraser.
They're good actors.
Shirley MacLaine always seems smarter than the word she has because she probably is smarter.
Yes.
And Ricky Lake, this is kind of her first big role since she got the talk show, is very warm and convincing here, although I did feel that she was a little bit too down home for this family.
I don't know why these three people took this role, frankly. Brendan Fraser's done some very good work. MacLaine is as good as it gets. Maybe I can understand Ricky Lake's first starring role. But this plot is really beneath all of them.
Okay, when we come back, soldier of fortune Tom Berenger goes undercover as the substitute. There's a tense atmosphere in a Miami high school as teachers Diane Venora and Glenn Plummer do their best to stop a fight in that scene from The Substitute. But something is obviously deeply wrong at this school, and after Venora's leg is broken by a young thug, her boyfriend decides to take matters into his own hands. Who is her boyfriend? Well, he's played by Tom Berenger as your typical unemployed mercenary soldier.
I'm looking for Miss Hetzko's room. My name's Smith. I'm her substitute.
Ah, Claude Willet. I'm the principal.
Oh, good to meet you.
You're not one of our regular subs.
That's Ernie Hudson as the school's principal. There have been a lot of movies about teachers dealing with tough classes, but this class is in a league of its own.
Today, we're going to talk about Vietnam.
Yeah, who?
Soon it becomes clear that the school administration is hiding a massive secret and that the good guys, like the teachers played by Berenger and Plummer, might find their lives in danger if they look too deeply.
Nah, I'm cool. So this is a personal mission or a joint operation between the CIA and the PTA.
The Substitute is one of those movies I don't even know why they bother to make. The screenplay is completely devoid of any originality, and it's simply a clothesline for a series of boring action scenes in which guys shoot at each other, throw hand grenades, and run down darkened corridors. We've seen that stuff a million times before. Berenger and Venora have some nice warmth in their scenes together, and all I could think of was, why couldn't they have found an intelligent movie to appear in?
You know, I like them too as a couple, and one thing I was noticing, because this is not a tough screenplay to follow.
No, not real tough, no.
Was how gorgeous both of their skin was. You know the movie's in trouble. I said, gee, they look so tan, perfectly tan. Where do they find people?
Glowing,
they really were, you know.
Well, they spent a lot of time out in the sun while the screenwriters were trying to rewrite the script, probably. Can you believe that the principal is using school buses to smuggle cocaine, which he hides in the boiler room in order to sell to the students? Talk about a vertical business plan.
Yeah, the other thing is there is one good scene where Berenger talks to the kids and talks about the opportunities that they're losing by going through this life of crime and all that. And the kids respond with some, you know, like, what else can we do? What else are our options? There was a kernel of sweetness and warmth in that scene that, unfortunately, the movie throws away with a third-act action finale.
Could have been a different movie.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg plays a stranger who terrorizes a suburban family in Fear. Coming up next.
Date strangers thriller called Fear, and what an inspired title that is, and what a trashy movie, too. It's about a teenage girl from Seattle who has just moved in with her divorced dad, his new wife, and she befriends a strange young man in town who has already helped her violate one curfew. He comes over now to pick her up for a second date.
Nicole!
Yeah?
Get me a Coke.
Okay, I'll be right there.
Thank you. You almost ready?
That's Mark Wahlberg, the former rapper, as the creep, and Reese Witherspoon as the daughter. He turns her on, but turns off her dad, played by William L. Peterson.
I know about things coming apart at work. I also know you ain't keeping up, so to speak, your end of the bargain with the missus. But relax, Steve. We're friends. We're practically family.
But the third act of the film is pure mayhem as the creep and three of his even creepier thug buddies come looking for vengeance at William Peterson's home.
It all could have been different, Mr. Walker. You should have allowed nature to take its course. In the end, it will anyway.
So let me in the house!
I was shocked that Fear was made by the fine filmmaker James Foley, and get a load of his credits. Edgy pictures like At Close Range, After Dark, My Sweet, and also Glengarry Glen Ross. This film, Fear, is not worthy of his talent or your attendance.
I completely disagree with you. I was really surprised by how effective this movie was. I thought Mark Wahlberg and Reese Witherspoon were so effective as this couple, and the way that he is able to smooth talk her and kind of get her confidence and seem like such a nice guy.
Roger,
and,
not the
William
family.
Peterson, the scene between Wahlberg and Peterson outside the school when the two men are threatening each other, that was really riveting because that young creep had a way to really get underneath the older man's skin. He really knew how to stick it in and twist it, and I felt that this movie was surprisingly suspenseful and also psychologically very much on target.
No, I don't think it's on target, Roger, because I don't think, first of all, it doesn't get difficult to get a father anxious about his daughter. You don't have to be clever to do that.
But think of the frustration when you can't get your daughter to believe that this guy that she's in love with might be dangerous. That's such a universal feeling.
Well, Roger, how about a sit-down sequence where they talk it out? I mean, there isn't that picture.
They do try to do that. There was a lot of good dialogue in this movie. I was surprised how well
I think it was so obvious that this guy was a phony to the father at the very least.
Yeah, but of course it's always obvious to the father and it's never obvious to the daughter. That's the whole point.
And did you like the conclusion? The third act, you didn't think that was just run through?
Part of it was movie making, and part of it, as a matter of fact, was plausible, believe it or not.
Oh, including the house, the fortress-like house? I mean, that's...
Sure, because he's an architect, and he's built this house out in the woods, and he wants it to be.
Entering the fortress, it's a traditional
when
movie
we come
cliche.
Back, Michael Imperioli and Oscar winner Mira Sorvino in Sweet Nothing.
In luxury service in Southern California style, adjacent to Beverly Hills on LA's fashionable West Side, the Century Plaza Hotel and Tower, a Westin hotel.
Our next movie is one of the most insightful and intelligent I've seen about the subject of drugs and how they use people. The name of the movie is Sweet Nothing, and it stars Michael Imperioli as a young Wall Street office worker who's happily married and the proud father of a new child when a friend convinces him to try crack cocaine.
I just remember the overwhelming feeling and thinking to myself, so that's what I've been missing. Because it somehow felt right, like we belonged together, like I had found a long-lost friend I had never met before.
He quits his job and tells his wife that from now on their financial crunch is over. He's gonna just sell enough crack so they can take it easy, he promises her. His wife is played by Mira Sorvino.
I just don't want you to get shot or anything.
Nobody's gonna get shot.
But soon he's smoking as much crack as he's selling, and instead of raking in the cash, he's desperately in debt to dealers who will hurt him and his family.
Jersey first?
New Jersey first stop.
They only buy in quantity.
I know, I'm gonna tell them it's a sample, then if they like it, they're gonna like it. They come back, they meet the man personally.
You better not me, Angel. I know where your kids play.
A lot of movies say they're based on true stories. All this one says is that it's based on entries found in a diary in a Bronx apartment in 1991. And somehow I believe that because Sweet Nothing has the ring of truth. It's not an action picture, doesn't glamorize drugs. It's about a long, slow slide into addiction and how its crack victim loses the love and respect of his wife, his children, his family, and finally, even himself. The performances are strong and true, and the direction by Gary Winnick finds the sadness and desperation in the soul of one more addict who has gotten trapped and doesn't even know how.
It's a good film, and I'll tell you, first of all, I think it's going to get a little attention because of Mira Sorvino and coming out after her Oscar win. And she's very good, and it proves that that was a real performance that we saw, if we didn't know it, in Woody Allen's picture. But this Michael Imperioli carries the film. It's his story, and he's really wonderful. I mean, you're fascinated by him. It's just as an introduction to an actor. I don't remember seeing him.
He's been a character actor in movies before. This is his first leading role.
And boy, is he equal to it. It's a very good picture. It has played off, apparently, in New York City. It's coming, I believe, next week to Los Angeles, moving out wider in Los Angeles. And I hope it gets spread around the country. This is the kind of film that can be thrown away to video if its distributor doesn't have enough faith into it. So let's encourage them to spread it around the country.
What he does in this film is so interesting. I mean, it takes place over a period of 3 or 4 years.
Right.
It's not like it all takes place in 3 weeks. And it's about a gradual disintegration. I mean, the scene where he comes into the house and grabs the television set out of the wall while his kids are watching it, and takes the TV to sell it to get some money for crack. I mean, moments like that.
Those are you know, the flamboyant moments. I want to talk about the writing of this picture. First of all, you have an addict who is an excellent writer. So he
describes how it makes him feel.
Yes, and those things are plausible. And so it's a smart picture about addiction.
Okay, now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed this week. 2 thumbs down for Celtic Pride, the comedy about a couple of fanatic Boston fans. 2 thumbs up, though, for Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie, the feature-length version of the TV show where the audience is actually encouraged to talk during the screening. 2 thumbs down for Mrs. Winterbourne, an old-fashioned romantic comedy, even though the actors generated a certain charm. 2 more thumbs down for The Substitute, another one of those formula action pictures where the whole plot is basically a setup for violence at the end. We split on the thriller Fear. I think it generates some genuine psychological interest in his portrait of a family under siege. Gene feels it's just predictable trash. And 2 thumbs up, way up, for the insightful and powerful Sweet Nothing, with strong performances by Michael Imperioli as a man who loses control of his life to drugs, and Mira Sorvino as the wife who loves him but can't help him. So that's a good one, isn't it? If people can possibly get a chance to see it, Sweet Nothing. Yeah, and then, of course, MST 3K.
Okay, you got it. That's it for this week. Next week, we'll be back with reviews of more new movies, including Mulholland Falls, starring Nick Nolte and Melanie Griffith, and a murder mystery set in post-war L.A. And also, The Truth About Cats and Dogs, with Uma Thurman, Janine Garofalo, and Ben Chaplin, in a romantic comedy about mistaken identity. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.